When I was a teenager, I was absolutely obsessed with wearing a bra. The only problem was that I didn't have very much to fill even the smallest bra. I remember spending my summers doing chest exercises and repeating the mantra, I must increase my bust, over and over again, locked away in the bathroom with my mantra, bra, and sheer determination to keep me going. This particular day, I lost track of time and my mom walked in on me doing my thing. Of course, I had to explain to her what was going on, and she just stood back and smiled and said, Jess, you remind me of a butterfly. Sweetheart, you have to always remember, the joy is in the journey. She began to explain that genetics are a real thing, and it was likely as her only child I would have similar body structure, and not to worry, that the girls would be there soon enough. 3 weeks later, after being in remission, my mom passed away from her second bout with breast cancer. As I began to have to face life with the known fact that I would have to do it without my mother, something inside me began to be fearful at the thought of being a mother someday and leaving my own children motherless. Most primary care physicians, more often than not, upon finding out about my mother's medical history, usually dished out a higher level of concern, care, or precaution. While I could appreciate the doctor's concern for my well-being, it created an unhealthy anxiety about checkups, doctors, hospitals, and all things breast cancer related. It's not a secret that I have an all-consuming obsession with all things butterflies. I believe that those who know me best know that everything the butterfly represents is in my life, and really life itself. For years, I would have bouts of denial or avoidance, anxiety, and/or panic attacks, all in efforts to avoid going to see a doctor, until finally being forced to go for things like having kids and fighting subsequent cooties that those kids bring. In my lame attempts to avoid taking care of myself, luckily, during these tough times, my wonderful husband empathized with my deepest fears and doubts, but still held me accountable. During a self-examination, we found something that required a doctor's visit. Without hesitation, looking at my fourth referral for a mammogram for something I found, my initial emotion and reaction was fear and ultimate terror. My worst nightmare come true. I'm going to leave my children motherless. However, that moment, instead, my spirit said, Jess, the joy is in the journey. I realized that a life lived with fear is no life at all. I had lunch with my husband that afternoon before the mammogram and went to work after it was done. A few days later, my doctor called to tell me everything was fine, just probably a mass from not laying off of the cherry cokes like I was supposed to. That was 8 years ago. What my mom ultimately taught me is that you can't go through life fearing inevitable change that life brings and worrying about future outcomes. It takes away from being present in the moment. For those who struggle with change that life brings, remember, without change, there would be no butterflies. There aren't many days that go by that I don't think about my mom, but usually it's in reference to how to be a better mom to my own kids. I try to remember, even in the tough times, that the joy is truly in the journey.